You look like you disagree.
I don't want any society governed by any fucking religion, that's it.
What do you want society to be built on?
Freedom to choose, to think for yourself, that's it.
Freedom to choose.
Choose to yourself, freedom of expression.
What limitations of that freedom would you put in?
That depends on the legal system in the place, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you want to come in and talk?
I'll talk to you off camera.
Okay, that's fine.
I actually wanted to speak to you about something we spoke about a few weeks ago.
Well, I tell you what, I'll let you...
Off camera. I will not record his face, but you can be off camera. Like, in terms of, like,
I want to say something personal to Rob that he spoke about recently, and I thought it was good because he's the only person in the park to talk about it.
Right, well, you talk about your topic then, and then maybe we'll come back to my topic. So what do you want to... What did you want to say?
Oh no, I said off camera when you're not filming. I wanted to mention something to you that you spoke about a few weeks ago, and I thought it was quite good.
Well, you can say it now. You're not on camera.
No, but I don't want the discussion.
Why is it personal to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me just say this. You said that you want a free society.
Not completely.
Right.
It's got to be. I don't want people running around.
You don't want a lawless society.
Yes.
Right. So if you don't want a lawless society, where do we draw the lines of where the law should be?
Yeah, and that's a long philosophical question, and that's the point of debate and discussion. And
Right.
That's the point of parliament, voting, that's the point.
But and what's your name, bro? Sorry? Okay. So you could give a fake name, but I'll just call you the gentleman. Bro, I'll just call you bro, is that all right?
Bro, yeah.
Yeah. So bro, the problem with that position, bro, is this. Is that at some point, when you start deciding where the lines of the law lie, that's where you need a religion. So you can't escape the idea of a religious society because you will always have a God. The question is, what God will you have?
Because psychologically we are either evolved, engineered or wired
To worship.
blind to worship, believe and
Yeah.
accept things. That's completely normal, that's just human psychology.
Yeah.
You know. But that being said, the problem I have with religion per se is that all texts and all ideas from all the religious beliefs now have ideas that we consider morally wrong or outdated, for our time now. And it's just like,
Well, I would say to you that there's nothing in Christianity that is outdated. None of its doctrines or of its values are outdated. All of them are needed, all of them. And that actually it is by us walking away from our Christian heritage and walking away from our Christian...
I don't think we should walk away from heritage or culture because I think that's what defines us as people.
Right, but our heritage and culture is Christianity. Right, but you can't, if you're going to say don't walk away from it, it implies that you give it some credence.
I'm saying you don't have to believe it, but I'm saying it's part of your culture, it's part of your identity, it's part of your heritage.
Yeah.
And that's a unique thing.
So for instance, give me an example of something in our culture that you want to hold on to.
In Britain?
Well, whichever culture you belong to.
Britain, yeah. I'd say freedom of expression, right to insult, ridicule.
Freedom of expression, right.
Without someone trying to stab you or run you over.
So this value, right?
Yeah.
This value is a non-Christian value.
Yeah.
Right, which means that it isn't part of our great heritage in England.
Yeah.
Right? That value that you've just advocated for has never... Yeah, go on. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wannabe jihadi. Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the Islamist for you. Yeah, right. Yeah. So my point to you is this: is that you've already abandoned your heritage and your culture. because you have. So my point is, so you don't want to hold on to.
Okay.
You don't want to hold on to your heritage and culture. You want to abandon your heritage and culture.
Okay, no.
This is called
I want to
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, so I would say abandoning the beliefs, but that being said, me personally, I'm a huge architecture nerd. I like the old churches. I don't think they should be demolished or anything. I don't think they should be converted to anything else. I think they should be left to stand. I accept for that to happen, that does require people to actually believe in Christianity and go there. And even though I wouldn't do that myself, I don't know, it's not for me to say. I don't know. We don't really know much.
Right. So those churches that you want to hold on to, right?
Just because I like architecture.
Right, but hold on one second. Hold on one second. Those churches that you want to hold on to, right? Because it's part of our heritage and part of our culture, right?
I acknowledge it depends on people believing it and practicing it.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly. So my point to you is exactly. So my point to you is, here you are saying, I want these things to stay, but I don't want people to believe. Like
I know,
that doesn't.
I know.
But this is called cognitive dissonance.
I know.
There is a contradiction in the things that you want and the means by which you want to get there.
Yeah, I know, and that's okay because we don't know everything. We don't have the answers, and I don't think any belief system or ideology does. And that's the point, part of human existence. It's not for us to know.
Yeah.
It's for us to find out what works, what doesn't, what's good, what's bad, and that's how we progress.
I would suggest to you, bro, because that's what we're calling you, right? I would suggest to you, bro, that if your worldview is self-contradictory, at some point you've got to make a choice. You've either got to commit yourself to your goals and objectives, right? Or you've got to abandon those goals and objectives. Right? But what you can't do, because essentially what you end up doing is, you end up doing something like this. You do it, and I'll just stand back here and applaud. Right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
But that's a coward's way to live, brother.
But I can't believe in. You can't force me to believe something.
No, I can't force you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't force you. I don't want to force you. But my point to you is.
The same way I don't believe in how our banking system is structured. I can still look at a lot of buildings of banks, think, oh, they look nice. I can still meet the people that work there and go, oh, he's a nice gentleman.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but you use the banking system, of course.
I don't really have a choice in that.
Yeah, exactly. No, none of us do. Yeah, exactly. But my point to you is this, right? Is that the way that you've highlighted your philosophy leads to moral cowardice. And I would say that moral cowardice is something that every man should run from.
Yeah.
Moral cowardice is not something that should be embodied by any man.
Yeah,
And so what you need is a doctrinal and value system that cultivates courage.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, but I kind of agree with you, but I also think like all cultures in the world, whatever race, belief, whatever, wherever they are on the planet, the culture is in not just food and so, but norms and habits and mannerisms. They're all born out of collective intelligence within that society. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I feel like in the UK, yes, it's got a long Christian heritage. Before Christianity came, it had pagan heritage and different types of pagan, all these different things. But ultimately, we've developed a society where, I know in reality, freedom of expression is a bit, these days. But we have developed a culture where we can mock, ridicule, and question, and that's born out of our collective intelligence over time in our culture. And I'd rather have that than be ruled by an old religious belief like Christianity or Islam, which historically has decided to kill people for saying things.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to believe Jesus and go to church, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want a legal system that if someone says, I think it's all a load of shit, kill him, I don't want that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to see the death of blasphemers either.
Oh, that's good.
But I do want blasphemy to be made illegal. I do want blasphemy to be made illegal. No, let me finish. So, because here's the point. I've already had this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Is that the thing is, if you allow blasphemy, right? What blasphemy does is it undercuts the doctrines that are sacred. That's the first point. The second point is you can never escape blasphemy laws. It's intrinsic to every culture and every society that which is sacred to them will be protected from criticism. Let me give you an example. If someone came here with a Bible and desecrated a Bible, the police would do nothing. But if you came here with an LGBT flag,
I'm in the back of the van.
You'd be in the back of the van, because the Western secularists. But the point is, it will always be like that, bro. It will always be like that because you can't have a society that doesn't have sacred beliefs.
Well, you can.
You can't. Even at the birth of the Enlightenment.
So, sorry, I say about sacred beliefs.
Yeah.
Like I was saying about collective intelligence in society forming that society's culture of morality. That is formed over time. You don't have to adopt a scripture from thousands of years ago to function in society and live a decent life.
Well, I disagree. I fundamentally disagree. I think that the very fact that our society is degenerate now and is decaying now is because of not the decay of religion, the decay of Christianity. It's because we've poisoned the well from which we drink. And the reason why we poison the well from which we drink is because we allowed blasphemy, is because we allowed Christianity to be mocked and ridiculed and insulted and attacked.
That's partly true, but I also think there's a problem where in this country now, this doesn't just affect Christians, I think this affects everyone in life, is people with a particular liberal agenda are influencing court outcomes.
Yeah.
They're influencing what's said in churches,
We agree.
in mosques,
We agree.
in schools.
We agree.
I think that has more of a role.
Yeah, I agree that the liberalisation of society.
I didn't get to finish that.
Okay.
That's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
So what I was going to say was, even if you look, say, this time 100 years ago exactly, let's say we're in the year 1924, there were probably people making jokes about Christ and Christianity, but that didn't mean that people also went out telling 5-year-old boys they can cut their dick off and be a girl.
Yeah, but one did lead to the other.
Eventually.
Yes, exactly.
But it's not
exactly.
directly responsible.
You can draw a line. No, you can't. You can't because he's not joining our conversation or it ends.
That's why.
You can't join. He can't join our conversation. So in terms of what I was saying, just ignore this guy, bro. Otherwise, I just stop talking to you. So if you want to have a conversation with me,
I'll
ignore
go
him.
with the conversation.
So in terms of So in terms of our conversation, you can draw a line between people discrediting, mocking, and attacking the Christian faith, and the idea of cutting off the dick, right? And let me draw that line for you, right? Because if you start off by devaluating God in the minds of people through mocking and ridicule, and you replace that God with another God, which you must replace it with another God, because all human beings do worship God, just depends which God they worship. And the God that we replaced it with, let me finish, you'll be worshipping yourself. Then you'll be worshipping yourself. And in the West what we did is we replaced that God with humanism, right? Now, the moment you elevate humanity to God,
I'm not a humanist.
I never said you were, right? I said you worship.
But some people watching might think I am.
I said you worship yourself. I never said you worship humanity, right? Yeah. So, but this is where we get to cutting off the dick, because the moment you elevate humanity to God, you create the milieu in which every individual can become his own God. And so when someone decides, I'm born in the wrong body, let me chop this bit of my body off, right? We live in a society where that can't be questioned. So the people that are cutting off the dicks are worshipping the same God as you, the self.
No. I think most people find this whole trans thing abhorrent.
Most.
Even atheists are outspoken against it because they feel it's morally wrong.
They
don't feel it's morally wrong because a book tells them. They feel it because they're born into a society that collective intelligence over time has led them to have certain moral values that they were raised up in. Like when I was a kid, my family wasn't religious per se, but I was told there's boys and girls, and now I'm 26, and apparently that's wrong.
But where are we getting where are we getting that understanding of that there's male and female? Where does that come from?
Eyes, brain, biology?
No, we get that from 2,000 years of Christian tradition. If
people knew about boys and girls long before Christ and
if you go to India, in Hindu culture, they have this idea of multiple gendered people. There's certain kinds of religiosity in India in which the priest has one half of their body done up like a woman and one half of their body done up like a man.
Chicks with a dick.
So my point to you is that it isn't just by you said just you're appealed to empiricism, right? But empiricism itself, I'll just stand here. Empiricism itself, is something that emerges out of Christianity.
Yeah, but again,
you don't get empiricism without Christianity.
I don't see any proof that. Like, I think the concept of there being male and female is like
there is proof.
It's just most places in the world just naturally think that.
Right, but again, you're evident.
Like when someone has a baby. Sorry, it's just because my brain's a bit slow. I smoked weed earlier. Sorry.
It's not doing you any favors, bro.
No, it's okay. It just makes me a bit slower.
Turn that brain into Swiss cheese.
What I mean is, like, when a woman's pregnant in any culture, and then you've had the scan or whatever, they're going to say, is it a boy or girl? And
again,
because we naturally recognise that kids are either born with penis or vagina. You don't need a bloody book to tell you.
I agree.
Books in the world, and I can use my eyes and see
but brother,
we don't need a Christian state or a fucking caliphate.
So allow me to reply.
To make it
allow me to reply.
accept that.
Allow me to reply. Allow me to reply. I mean, I agree with you that a sensible society could look at a man or a woman and tell the difference, right? But the very fact, the idea that nature can inform us is a Judeo-Christian idea, right? That principle, no, I'm going to finish, that principle of learning truth, taking truth from nature, that Richard Dawkins does. He's an advocate against the whole trans ideology, and he does it on the basis of biology. That whole idea is something that is rooted in Christianity.
Oh, it is there.
Right? No, it's rooted in Christianity. It's not just there, it's what gave birth to the empirical investigation of the world in the modern world. It was born of a Christian milieu. Let me finish. If you go to other cultures, now granted, because it is true that nature can teach us truth, most cultures have tuned into that truth, right? But it is not obvious that culture always comes to those conclusions. And the reason, I'll give you two examples for that. One is our own society right now, which is because it's lost its Christian doctrine, has lost its understanding that nature declares truth, and they believe that we just make our own truth, which is actually an argument that you're making right now, that we just make our own truth. But then you also go to Hindu culture, and there are certain expressions of Hindu culture where they do the same, right? So it isn't the case that all cultures can just look with their eyes. Because evidence is interpreted by narrative, and narrative is what interprets evidence.
So I was going to say, in context of the world and beliefs, like before Christ, before the Bible was written, before the Quran, any of that, if you look around the world at old sort of drawings and depictions of belief, for example, you'll always find, when they've done like old drawings and paint whatever, there's always the moon, the sun, the stars, the tree. Because why? It's what we can observe. But the point is, beliefs over time, over thousands of years, like paganism and stuff, it comes from ideas to do with nature that you can physically observe. So if you're in ancient, like South America, for example, and I don't know, you're told that the stars are like shooting devils or demons or whatever, that then becomes a rational belief in that place of time because you don't actually know what it is. You haven't learned yet, but you can see it.
Yeah.
And everyone around you's written about it.
Yeah.
But over time, the understanding of nature changes. But you're right in that nature does give us some truth because all belief around the world, it all starts from observation to the first development of language. A lot of it is based off ideas of things that people could naturally see, nature, and that's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal.
I'm
saying is, religion is, you can call it stories, this, that, and the other, but it's just an accumulation of ideas over time based on these observations over a very long period of time. Stories get mixed, and that's all it is, how it forms.
Right, can I reply? Because that's too simplistic. I agree with you.
I could go into too much depth 'cause I'll be talking for hours.
I agree. It's too simplistic. And the reason why I say it's too simplistic is because while certainly observation and experience are foundational to the Judeo-Christian worldview, the things that are observed and experienced are often miraculous. So Christianity is born of the resurrection of Jesus. It is the resurrection of Jesus is what gives birth to the Christian faith. So it was experienced, it was observed, but it was miraculous. And that means that it is above nature. It's not just like tracking the course of the moon across the sky or the course of the sun across the sky over a 12-month period. No, it is based on the fact that people who knew that Jesus Christ had died came to experience that Jesus Christ had risen from the dead. And it was that event that transformed them and gave birth to the church and gave birth to my faith.
Supposedly, yeah.
No, not supposedly, actually. And if you're going to say supposedly, right, no, there you go. I've got you now. I've got you, bro. I've got you.
Okay.
You've just demonstrated that you've demonstrated your ignorance.
How many people have been born a virgin in history? How many people have died and come back to life in history?
One.
According to all scriptures and written language.
Well, resurrected, one. No. You're wrong, bro.
No.
So let me just correct something.
I'm sorry, there's not been.
Bro, let me just correct.
In written language
go on,
and
which,
mythology, there's been a lot of virgin verse. There's been a hell of a lot of
go on,
resurrection.
name one. And then show me the text that says it were virgin birth.
I'm writing about this, and I have at home a full document of all.
Well, you bring that document another week and let's debate it.
One day I will.
Yeah?
When it's complete, I am. I don't want to discuss it now because I'll be here for hours and
right,
hours.
But hold on one second.
It's a good discussion to have, and I'll be willing to have that with you.
But I want to point something out. I want to point something out that demonstrated immediately to my ears that you didn't know what you were talking about. Because you said that we believe in the resurrection because the texts say it. The point is, bro, is that the church lived and was born. You listen? The church was born for decades before any text of the resurrection was written about.
No, there's other writings about resurrections and virgin births, water to wine.
Right, show me then.
One day I'm going to come with the documents and have a long talk.
Because absolutely.
When it's ready, we'll do
it. Let's do that.
Because it's interesting.
Right? Have you got a Bible at home?
Yeah. I have a few.
I have a few
different translations.
Yeah, I want to encourage you to read it. Right?
I'm all right.
And then we'll come back and actually talk to us about it.
I'm all right, thank you.
Because
I'd rather go out and do some constructive things.
This is smoke
I've
weed.
read the Bible.
Yeah,
I have actually.
Yeah,
start to finish. I read the King James version first as a child.
Yeah.
I've got the New International Version, a New Living Translation at home as well as the King James. I have read the Bible, start to finish.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So my point to you is that Christianity was teaching the resurrection before any text of the New Testament was written, and that's why the church believed it.
But there was other faiths and ideas that also talk about resurrections, virgin births, water to wine.
Yeah,
all these
and a Galilean fisherman would not have been able to read any of them.
But that's...
No, it is important.
No.
A Galilean fisherman would not have been able to... If you're right, so hold on. Is your argument that Jesus Christ didn't really exist?
I'm not going to get into that today. That's another debate for another time.
Right.
Or we can have that debate as well.
Let's have that debate. Let's have a debate.
One day we're going to have
we could do that anyway. All right. So I'm going to give you a gift. Let me give you a gift.
Give me a Bible. Just explain.
I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you a Bible. Okay. Why did you assume I was going to give you a Bible?
Because that's what I got last time I come here.
Right. Oh, we've talked before.
No, and she kept trying to give it to me, and I said, I've got this exact one. No, no, they don't know what no means. So
no, I'm not going to give you a Bible. There's no point giving you a Bible if you've got one. There you go. That's for you. Okay. Not a Bible.
Can I ask you a question before someone else jumps in? Can you give us your insight and your thoughts on the Christmas market attacks in Germany just recently?
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to.
So my thoughts on.
Very atheist.
Is he caught on video screaming Allahu Akbar?
When they arrested him, someone filmed it from the side, and the armed police were pointing guns at him, and he was down going Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and all the media said he's an atheist ex-Muslim, and I went
right. I didn't know that
because atheists are well known for killing Christians and screaming Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, exactly. So to be honest, that's totally new information. And that's actually just radically changed what I thought.
It is true.
So
say as well. It is
can
true.
I answer his question? Because he asked me a question.
No, I just really want to finish.
No. We stopped.
We stopped.
I want to answer.
Sorry, I'm
going to answer his question.
It's just that on paper,
brother,
he's an ex-Muslim atheist.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. So
that's what he claims.
So to answer your question, what my thoughts on it. And this is new information now that has literally just changed my thinking, because I was actually willing to give credence to what the media was saying, because every now and then you do get an oddball that does odd things, right? But given what I've just heard, I think now it is very obvious that this was an Islamist attack, maybe by a Shia, possibly because he was running from Saudi Arabia. No, because he was running from Saudi Arabia, which might imply that he was a Shia rather than a Sunni. Let me finish. And so I think what it demonstrates is that we in the West have got to revisit the question of migration. We've got to revisit the question of migration. We've got to bring in heavy filters about who we allow into the country, and anyone that we would not have allowed to come in, we must deport. And if that means deporting the entire city of Birmingham, then that's what we need to do, right? Or Bradford, like it doesn't matter how many thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of people that we have to deport. If you would not pass the heavy filter on entry, you must be made to leave the country.
Can I just follow up on that? They say that even if we had heavy filters for people of high caliber, like doctors and scientists and engineers, well, this gentleman was literally a doctor.
Yeah, but the point is, one of the filters that I would argue should be in place is that you are a Christian or someone that could live and adopt and be sympathetic to Christian values. That's a filter that we should have. Now, liberals will never give you that filter, but a Christendom and Christianity can, and that's why we need a religious state, not a liberal state.
No caliphate, Christian kingdom.
That was my only question.
Right, okay.
No blasphemy laws, no kill him, none of that. No, we don't want it. No.
Right, now it may be.
I want to be able to take the piss and have a laugh.
Well, I think that
but I appreciate that if I take the piss out of you,
you lost your chance.
Stab me.
I won't stab you. Why would I try and stab you?
So that's a good start.
Yeah.
In your blasphemy concepts, would you ban The Life of Brian by Monty Python?
Yes.
So how would you punish? How would you?
That's a great
Bob,
film.
genuinely, just genuine question. This is just your opinion.
Yeah.
How would you, in your ideal state, if someone started, making cartoons or whatever about Christ, songs, taking the piss, whatever?
Yeah.
How would you deal with that?
It would depend on the scale of their blasphemy, how publicly it was known. So if somebody did a blasphemous cartoon of our Lord and then showed it to one or two friends in a public place, they'd probably just get a fine and sent on their way. If someone like the BBC that broadcast the Jerry Springer opera, that would be an offence that would lead to a year or two in prison.
But so you would fine people for drawing cartoons?
Blasphemous cartoons.
Well, that's me fucked then. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing blasphemous ones, I think there should be
everyone. I target all
Yeah,
the groups,
including Muhammad.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I done a good one the other day about about the inbreeding rates.
Right.
And it was basically a family with their normal family. Is a depiction of the family saying why they want to ban cousin marriage, bloody racists.
Yeah.
And I just drew out the normal family. It's quite good.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
I done the Church of England about the pedo scandal.
Yeah.
I done him.
Yeah. I think the thing is that there's a serious point here. And it's maybe a point that I don't know whether you appreciate or not. And I haven't been able to ascertain through our conversation whether you appreciate or not.
Yeah.
Is that what doctrines you have gives rise to your values. So your values depend upon your doctrines, and that's why there should be a blasphemy law. Because if we have values of our culture and our heritage that you claim you want to maintain, then that means that the doctrines upon which those values rest have to be protected.
Oh, I agree. I think in law, maybe we could do something to protect cultural aspects. Like, I think Poland has a lot of emphasis now in the education system, protecting Christian values and guarding children from drag queens coming in and telling bullshit, which I think is good. But the state isn't governed by Christianity. It's
which it should be.
Church and state, and they still manage to put things in law to keep their identity protected and not have their children.
So for example, Section 28 was passed by Margaret Thatcher to stop gay propaganda being pushed in schools. Margaret Thatcher did that because she was a Christian.
Yeah.
Right? My point is that the reason why that was taken away is because the culture, the prime ministers that came afterwards were Christian in name only, and they were actually liberals. Yeah. So a liberal, and the point is, if you believe in free speech like you've claimed, you can't object to people pushing gay propaganda in schools because you've just said you believe in free speech. No, one second. The moment you say that you can't have gay propaganda pushed in schools, you've put yourself on my track because you've said that there should be limits to speech. Yeah. My point to you is, I'm finishing. My point to you, bro, and this is how you will ever now be known as bro,
that's okay.
is that,
I'll take it.
Right? Is that my point to you, bro, is that I have a rationale behind the limits of speech that I want to create.
Yes, fascism.
Your limits on freedom of speech seem ad hoc and made up in the moment.
Yeah, I don't even believe in hate speech really, but I was going to say, like, I went to a Church of England primary school.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in year 5, so about 9 or 10, we had compulsory PSHE.
Yeah.
And I can remember my teacher in a Christian church school telling all of our class about homosexual sexual activities, how it's done.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, even as a non-religious person back then, I was thinking, should a 9-year-old be taught about dick sucking and bum sex?
Exactly.
And, you know, I understand when people might want to educate a children at school to say there are people with different views and sexuality, some men who like men, some people that like both, whatever. Yeah. I think you can have that, and I don't think it's like LGBT propaganda. What I saw when I was at school, that I think is a problem. I think it's about what's actually said and done.
Yeah.
And I think there's too much leeway being given to certain organizations to push certain things.
So
too
me
much.
and you now agree that there is an aesthetic behind the way that we speak that should be policed.
I'm saying this specifically for like children of that age in school, and that's why I gave my example when I was at school. Like, I don't think a 9-year-old should be told that.
I agree.
Regardless of what they believe.
I agree. But my point is, we've now agreed that there should be a policing of the aesthetic of discourse.
Oh yeah.
And what I'm saying is that the only way that you can maintain this idea of stopping this gratuitous sexualization of children to fit in with LGBTQ is because of Christian doctrine. The reason why, even the very value of protecting children is rooted in Christianity. Jesus said, "He who causes any one of these children to stumble, it is better that a millstone be tied around his neck and he'd be thrown into the sea. When he made those statements, Jesus elevated the value of children. In a world, where particularly in the Roman world, where they would just put children out to die on the street and be eaten by dogs, babies to be eaten by dogs, right? Now the point is, when Jesus said that statement, he gave children a dignity that they didn't have in their natural culture. And so our own elevation of children and the understanding that children should be protected is because of Jesus. So you need a religious state to justify protecting children.
I don't think you need a religion to do it. Like I said about when I was at school at that age.
Yeah.
If my teacher has said, when you get older, you might come across people who are attracted to this and that.
Yeah.
I think isn't like propaganda. That's not, because at the end of the day, when you grow up and you're in the real world, you are going to notice that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think, even without religion, as a collective, we should be able to work out. A 9-year-old shouldn't be told those things.
Why was the age
because
of
it's basically
consent?
like giving pornography to a child.
Yeah.
Why was the age of
And
consent raised
there's
from
laws
14 to
even
16?
now about you have to be 18 plus to view this and that. And it's sort of like then when you get to school and you're at the age of 9, here's a cartoon of it, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the agenda does sort of contradict the law, or our laws haven't been made concrete enough to stop the extent it's gone to.
Have you read a book?
I don't think you need religion to stop that.
Have you?
I know it would. I agree
it
would.
Yeah, it would.
I think any state run by Islam or Christianity would stop that without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that we need religion to do that.
But hold on one second. We've run the experiment that you're proposing, right? The experiment that you're proposing of having a non-religious state, right, is exactly what we've done in Western Europe and America and the Anglophile world since the 1790s. And this is where it's got us. In a society where people are being ploughed down in Christmas markets, where we're killing millions of children through abortion, where we're subjecting drag queen education, we're doing all of these things. We're doing all of these things because of the very experiment that you're talking about, right? And this is the only society, this is the only civilization in history that has tried. Yes, you're free, bro. Right? That's very kind of you, but no, you're free. But this is our only society that has tried to build itself on a non-religious complexion. So it's failed. We've done your experiment. It failed. You need to accept that it failed. No, I haven't finished. Now, the point is, I'm glad you agree that a Christian state would stop the things that you're talking about. But the reason why it would is because in Christianity, freedom is not the highest value. In liberalism, freedom is the highest value. And when you make freedom the highest value,
I'm not a liberal.
Everything. No, you are. You are a liberal, bro. You just don't recognise it. Right. Why don't you let's define what liberalism then, because I'm saying you are a liberal and you aren't a liberal.
The term how it's defined today, how most people would say he's a liberal, and I don't fall into that category.
Right. Do you?
I vote for reform, if you're wondering.
No, the Reform Party is a liberal party.
It's got liberal ideas.
It is a liberal party.
The thing is, liberalism per se, it's always going to change. Depending if we had a society now that was governed by religion,
can we just focus back on this question?
Yeah.
What's liberalism? Because here's my proposal to you. Liberalism is the idea that humanity is at the center of human praxis in terms of humanity is at the center of human praxis, either embodied in a collective sense of the humanity or in an individualized humanity. Secondly, that we as citizens of a country have a covenant with the state, right? and that we're in a connection with the state, and in a contract with the state in which we have rights and responsibilities, right? So liberalism also decides what's true and what's false based upon empiricism and rationalism. And it values the idea of the individual. Now, how many of those ideas do you agree with? How many do you disagree with?
So, sorry. What I was saying earlier about cultures forming and things like that, we typically you'd expect we go forward, become more advanced. That's not always the case. Sometimes, yes, we do go backwards. Like our society is going backwards morally. Like I feel that based on someone my age is now seeing what I was brought up with, even in a non-religious household. Those values and morals are being, chipped away from society by this underlying liberal agenda. But I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. I'm trying to explain this in the best possible way.
Bro, I asked you a simple question.
Yeah.
How many of the ideas that I expressed do you agree with?
Yeah. So the thing you said about as a collective or individual, I kind of agree with that to a fair extent. However, as I was also saying, I understand, and I'm also saying from my belief in addition, we have gone backwards morally.
Yeah, no.
I think, religion aside, I think the crime rates prove that. I think teenage pregnancy rates prove that.
Yeah.
Regardless of religion or belief.
No, not regardless. This is where you keep. It's not regardless of religion. It is because of the absence of Christianity. We've moved away from Christianity. We've moved away from the Christian understanding of the family. We've moved away from the Christian sense of the importance of the family. And the result of that moving away has resulted in increased single parents, increased absentee fathers, increased teenage crime, increased gang crime, knife crime.
I don't deny that. That's
right.
not true.
So it's not regardless of religion. It is because of our rejection of Christianity. And this is the point. You want to hold on to these values, but you don't want to have the beliefs that underpin the values.
Because I don't believe in Christianity.
Then
I don't
you-
believe in any religion.
Then you have no basis.
I'm not an atheist, by the way.
Right.
Even that.
You would believe in a God?
Possibly. I don't know.
So you're agnostic?
Fairly, yeah. But
Fair
I'm
enough.
also like an anti-theist, if that makes sense.
There is the academic sense of what an anti-theist is, but I don't know if that's you. So do you deny the existence of metaphysics as a reality other than in the mind of man?
I wouldn't know how to answer that.
Well, that's the academic definition of anti-theism.
How I view things is...
No, well, sorry, can I just finish my point? Because you highlighted the increasing crime because of the breakdown of the family, right? I'm pointing out to you that that you also at the beginning of this conversation said you want to hold on to our culture and heritage, right? Our culture and heritage used to value the family as the cornerstone. Let me finish. As the cornerstone of society, so that society was built on families, not on individuals. Now the point is, you can't have that sense of you build society on the family, not on individuals, if you change the doctrine. Because Christian doctrine and values is what elevates the family.
Would you agree, though, that we could protect those values if, say, like I mentioned earlier about Poland and their legal system and schools, and you said about Margaret Thatcher and the failed experiment, but it's not failing for them. Like when I look around Europe, they're doing quite well, and I'd actually wish this country was more like that.
Poland,
but what I'm saying is...
Poland is one of the most Catholic countries in Europe.
I know.
It's one of the most Christian countries in Europe. So you're saying we need to go back to Christianity?
No, what I'm saying is, in law, though, Christianity, Catholicism does not determine the law.
Yeah.
They voted and made laws themselves to protect that identity and culture.
That's how
They've
all
separated them.
Sorry, hold on.
So what I'm saying is, essentially, it's this question. It's just a simple question.
Yeah.
Would you say yes or no that you can protect those values, the family values, stop LGBT propaganda and all this, while still separating church and state?
Right, so
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to answer that
Can
question.
you explain why? And I just want to
Yeah,
answer,
yeah.
and I'm going to go around.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, but let me explain. I, as a Christian, believe in the separation of church and state. But I don't believe in the separation of state from Christianity. I don't believe in the separation of the body of Christ from the state. I believe the institutional state and the institutional church should be separate.
Okay.
But the church should be filled with Christians, and the state should be filled with Christians, and the church and the state work in symphony to create Christian laws. Now, when you look at Hungary, Poland, Slovenia, Slovakia, all of these countries that are doing well, what have they all got in common? They've got high rates of Christian belief.
Yes. Yeah,
That's why they're doing well. So you can't, so let me finish because I'm landing now. So you can't maintain the value of the family and the protection of children from LGBTQ if you separate the state from Christianity.
So
You can't do that.
what about then if you have people who are, say, someone who's really well supported, great economic policies, they get voted in as an MP, and they are sworn to protecting your Christian values, family values and all this, but they're an atheist or agnostic, they're not a Christian, but they're still taking the job and saying, I believe that, by heritage, say, we're a Christian nation,
Yep.
and I will allow those values to be protected by law, and I'll work for that, and he gets votes based upon that. He doesn't believe in it himself.
Right, so
is that okay for you?
I'll give you a perfect, that's a great question. And in a
I would do that if I was an MP.
in a Christian state, I would be open to the idea that if a prime minister was willing to submit to the authority of the church in all metaphysical questions, that he could be prime minister as an atheist, or as a Muslim, or as a Buddhist, or as a Jew, or as an agnostic, because I do believe in equality under the law.
Okay.
But I would want to have a law that said all metaphysical questions are answered by the authority of the church. And the secular government is bound to the metaphysical understandings of the church, though it is free to fashion whatever laws it wants within that metaphysical framework.
Okay.
And in that world, you could have a Muslim as prime minister passing Christian laws.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know your opinion on that. That's all.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable. Yeah, fine.
Right. So
I'm not a Christian, but if I worked in Parliament, I would protect Christian values. I would stop the education I had from being in Christian schools.
Yeah,
I would.
Good. And you are an increasing number of people that I would call people of goodwill. The Bible talks about these people called the people of goodwill. And they're people who, whilst themselves are not believers, they're willing to stand with the church in Christian causes. But my question to you, bro, is how well do you understand those Christian values that you want to maintain and to sustain?
I have a fairly good understanding, fairly decent.
It'd be interesting to have that conversation.
The only thing I would disagree with you on is the blasphemy law. That's the only thing.
That you can't get away from that as a Christian.
Another very strange question. This book you gave me, I don't have a bag.
It's your gift.
Yeah. Can you hold on to it, and when you're going to leave, I'll still be here. Give it to me, because I want to take it home and read it, but I don't have a bag and I don't want to carry it. So could you just put it in yours, and then you'll see me around? Because I do actually want to read it.
I'll just stick it there.
I love reading books.
Yeah, I'll stick it there. Here's a card.
Thank you.
Yeah. Get in touch, bro. It was lovely talking to you.
Nice to speak to you.
Yeah.
And off camera.
Do you want to do that now? Let's go off camera.
Yeah.
Just briefly, I'm going to go off camera, guys. Can I give you these microphones, JC?
I wanted to say something very important to you.
There you go. Have I got any microphones on me?
Wonderful, brother.
Just off camera. I'm going to go off camera a minute with this guy.
No problem.